So we're definitely going to crack down on the crime wave in Washington, D.C. It's right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm Jessica Denson, and you are watching a special edition of Lights On. I'm here today with a great group of activists, influencers, my friends, the people who are in this fight more than anyone, live from Washington, D.C. and around the country. We have a major protest planned, and it could not be more timely with what this predator, illegal president is trying to do in the nation's capital tonight, trying to turn the Washington, D.C. into a police state, mobilizing federal law enforcement to take over that city's police department, lawlessly declaring an emergency in a city that has historically low crime rates while there is an outbreak of crime in the White House. A lawless president illegally inhabiting that office in violation of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, an adjudicated insurrectionist, an adjudicated sexual predator, a Russian asset, someone who more and more evidence is coming out and people are finally having the clarity to admit did not even win this election. The people are against him. We are not going to stand for an authoritarian takedown of American democracy. And I'm joined tonight by the A-team of resistors who is in this fight with me. I could be not be more excited to be joined by them all. Please join me in welcoming. So we'll go clockwise. Next to me is Hugh, who is at Flare headquarters at Columbus Circle, right outside Union Station in Washington, D.C. If you've been following my activism, you know I've been there numerous times with Cliff and Carlos and Rep. Green and many others. They have a 24/7 encampment in the nation's capital. So they are a big part of what we're going to announce tonight. And we've got Cliff, now known as the John Brown Hunting Club. He's been renamed. So please now refer to Cliff as the John Brown Hunting Club. And then we've got Essy, bottom left. He appropriately situated. He is the dark left on all socials, new to Lights On. Really excited to have him on tonight. And of course, Carlos Alvarez-Aranyos of American Opposition, who will be there with us in DC at this big event that we're going to announce. So welcome, gang. I'm going to let you all take a minute to give your own introduction and reactions to what's going on tonight. I'm going to give you the floor first, Hugh, because you are a DC resident. You are living through this federal fascist occupation, lawless occupation in your city. What's going on there in DC?
Well, for one, I'm just going to get started off by telling you how I feel. When I first learned about the Trump announcement, I was so enraged and livid that my hands were shaking. I learned about it from my dad. He called me and told me that you have to be careful now because Trump federalized our police force. He's sending in the National Guard to start rounding people up and disappearing folks. And I think the people of DC are also just as enraged. A lot of people might assume that we're afraid, but we're not. We're out here on the streets. We're still protesting. I was part of 2 protests today, one in front of Heritage Foundation. We do that every Monday at 4 and another one at Fox News. We're not going to roll over. We're not going to bend the knee to this regime. We're going to continue the fight. We're going to continue to resist, and we're not going to do it we're not going to stop until we get that orange demon out of the White House. There was a big gathering of folks as well in DC. All the activist organizations that I'm part of, from Free DC to DSA to Flare to everyone else in between, is mobilizing their people. Again, we're not going to take this lying down. And we are actively working on a response to address what is happening in our streets.
Yeah, we absolutely are. And I want to give a shout out to Free DC, who organized that special event today to meet this lawless power grab. And I'm just going to play a clip from the protest they had this morning.
And I want to be clear, this is not about crime. This is about what Trump is trying to do to DC in order to take over DC and silence us.
So, John Brown Hunting Club, I know you have some thoughts. I really, really liked the video you put out this morning, and you actually brought it back to where we started in the freezing cold in January with too few people, or many too few. My words are escaping me tonight. You know what I'm saying? Not nearly enough people were with us. We need millions of people in the streets in Washington, D.C. Tell me what you want to see when we get together next time.
I'd like to honestly take this opportunity to speak directly to members of law enforcement and the military, and I hope that people at home will consider screen grabbing this, doing a screen recording and posting it, because these law enforcement need to understand this is a guy who has ripped off middle class people his entire life. This is a guy who's preyed on underage girls and children. He's sexually assaulted women. He's conned contractors and employees and subcontractors and carpenters and tile people and plumbers. He's conned people his entire life. He's mocked law enforcement. He has 34 felony convictions. He was facing 31 charges for espionage before we somehow let him back into our White House. And to the military that he's trying to command, this guy's a 5-time draft dodger who said his bone spurs kept him from serving, but they didn't keep him from playing baseball or basketball in high school and lying about how good he is at it. He mocked John McCain and said, "I like guys that don't get caught." John McCain was a prisoner of war for years, beaten and starved and had his bones broken. And when he had a chance to leave, he said, "I'm not going to leave without my men." And this draft dodging, small-handed pedophile mocked that man, that war hero. He's called veterans suckers and losers. He's defunded the veteran suicide hotline. So my message is to law enforcement and to military: why the fuck? If you think that you're a real American, why the fuck, excuse my language, Jessica, why would you take orders from such a piece of trash?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just putting up a hotline, actually, a GI hotline for anybody who feels like they do not want to abide by unlawful orders. And I will remind everyone, as Cliff pointed out, this man is someone who is constitutionally disqualified from that office. That means every single order, whether or not it goes up through the Supreme Court and gets litigated as to the legality of that particular act, every single action this man takes is illegal. He doesn't have a constitutional authority to be commander in chief. I really, really hope we start seeing courage and leadership from people in the ranks in federal law enforcement, like Cliff is saying. Anybody who is in a position to make that choice, are you going to honor your oath, or are you going to follow the dictates of a lawless authoritarian wannabe who has no right to even hold office in our country?
And can I just say that the sentiment is absolutely there within our law enforcement, at least here in DC. I remember speaking to a few officers today and asked them genuinely about how they felt about the federal takeover of the police department. And they were telling me words from his mouth that he fucking hated it. He hated that Trump was doing this because it's just causing utter chaos among the police force in this city. And it's bringing in a swath of new people that don't know how to appropriately handle the residents of DC like our Capitol officers do. It's just plunging our city into chaos and setting up possible events where people might get shot and further escalations could happen. This is what officers told me today. Yeah. Hell, they don't even know who really to follow. They don't know what this means at all. They just need right now, as you were iterating, to have the backbone to stand up and actually follow their oath.
Yeah, that is so true. And, I'll just say, and we'll let Essy and Carlos come in a minute here. Like, we've all been on the ground in DC for months, since January protesting. Every single time the cops have been supportive of us, whether it's Metropolitan Police Department in DC or Capitol Police or any other federal agency. They have never posed a problem to us. We have never posed a problem to them. It has been complete peace. DC is not, in case you're not familiar with DC and you think you might be brainwashed by these incessant lies that come out of this man's mouth, everything he is saying is a lie. DC is not erupting in violence. There are not, crime rings and gangs breaking out on the streets. Crime is at historically low, 30-year low in the nation's capital. Likewise in Los Angeles was not breaking out in violence across the city ever when he deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles. These are complete blatant lies. And it is the authoritarian playbook to use the pretext of crime, the pretext of law and order and cracking down on it to take power when the real criminals are the ones in power. Essy, I know you have thoughts on this. Please introduce yourself to the Lights On audience, and I'd love to hear from you.
First of all, I'm Essy. I am with the dark left, and we like to say we are the fuck you side of the left. We're the uncensored pushback to conservatives. We're not the nice Democrats that they like to label us as. We represent the people who feel like they don't have a voice, the ones in the shadows, the ones that are tired of being ignored while the loudest idiots get to run the room. And we're here to change that. And to go off what you just said, Jessica, I'm really curious, considering the Trump administration has said how incredibly dangerous DC is, that they deployed the Guard. Hugh, are you okay there being in that thin little tent there in DC, or are you worried about people just crashing in on you and taking your equipment and your phone? Like, I guess the question is, Hugh, how are you going to manage in the war zone that is DC right now?
God, I don't know how I've survived it today, like, good Lord. The real criminals that I am scared of are the ones in the Capitol, the ones in the White House. The people of DC are fine. They're good folks. And we talk with them every single day. Oh, I'm positive. Haven't gotten stabbed yet. Man, we're fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, I want to apologize. I deal a lot of my content and what I deal, it's a coping mechanism that I use humor and sarcasm, because the only way that I can get through a day-to-day now in the environment that we're in is sort of to make light of it. Because when you're dealing in something that's insanity, maybe if you poke a little fun at it, then it feels less insane. It doesn't take away the level of insanity. It just feels a little less insane for a moment. And what I do and what I say and how I speak is not to, everybody hold hands and sing Kumbaya. There is an aggressive pushback to what we're doing. And I feel for somebody like you who's willing to go out there and brave the elements, because it's not cold in DC right now, but it is a little humid. But I feel for people that are willing to do that. So I want to apologize right now before we get any farther into this that I am a born sarcastic guy. So
we all are.
Usually we count on Cliff for our comic relief. So any addition to that,
Here's the thing, though, Cliff. If I give you anything and you use it in one of yours, I'm asking for a 3 to 5%. And
he wants royalties. Royalties, Cliff. You hear that?
Expect dollars. Expect dollars.
I'll give you my Venmo. Thank you.
So
all right.
Everybody,
I'm sorry.
No, you're great. You're great. And I just want to because everybody in the chat is asking for our date. They're asking for our date. So to anybody that's tuning in right before we toss it to Carlos, I'm going to give you the date. It's September 2nd in Washington, D.C. September 2nd, 9/2. This is the day after Labor Day. It's a Tuesday. It's the first day that Congress gets back into work. All of those cowards in that building in Washington, it's the first day that they come back. We need to put them on notice that we have not forgotten that we have a child predator in the White House. We have not forgotten about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump's best friendship. We have not forgotten that he needs to be removed from office, and we are going to let them know unmistakably. We're going to storm the Capitol in the right way, in the legal way, letting them know without a shadow of a doubt that we have not forgotten about this criminal in the White House and that it's time for him to be removed. All right, Cliff, you take it from here, my friend.
Sorry,
Cliff, I'm sorry. I do this. Okay, by the way, I do this with Cliff and Carlos all the time. I switch up their names.
I did want to say real quick, we're pushing that event on September 2nd because that's the Welcome Back Congress event. But in light of what Trump is doing right now,
yeah,
a lot of the groups are also asking people to mobilize to
Go
DC,
to DC now.
And that is a very fluid situation. It's evolving. And we're going to keep giving you details as they come in and as we make plans, but we are asking people, let's go ahead and get a big presence in DC. So I just want to be clear about that. September 2nd is its own thing, but we are actively pushing folks to fill the streets of DC in light of this announcement that Trump just made.
Yeah, actually, I just got off a phone call right before I started this, and one of the friends of the show was saying, Jessica, are you going to DC now? Is anything happening in DC now? If you can get to DC now, absolutely, that city needs your support. Go visit Flair at Union Station. They will point you in the right direction. Just if you can put your bodies in that city peacefully to demonstrate, start it. I mean, imagine if we had a buildup starting today, starting tomorrow, that just grew larger and larger until September. Imagine how incredible that would be. So yeah, absolutely no concrete plans other than this is your country. This is your nation's capital. No one can take it from you. And if you can be there now in DC, for goodness sakes, of course, get yourself to DC. So Carlos, founder of American Opposition, very familiar to the audience here at Lights On. But Carlos, I want to know your thoughts on the day.
Well, I just want to be careful. We have to pick the venue for this battle, and I actually think DC is the right venue for this battle. And we don't want to miss an opportunity to provoke Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is very weak, and I think of like during the fall of the Soviet Union, after the fall of the wall, the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, they all declared independence, and Gorbachev had allowed enough to happen that he needed to stand up against them there, and that materialized as a kind of a protracted battle that was led by protests and people literally standing in front of tanks like had been done in Tiananmen Square. And the 14 people died in Lithuania over the course of a night, and it changed the game, and it literally delivered that independence. So I think a few things. I think DC is being made an example of because it is easy. And I think in some ways it proves that Donald Trump is weak. He's reaching for the lowest hanging fruit. Federalizing the DC police force, he can only do that for 30 days. After that, he needs to get congressional approval to keep it going. Bringing in the DC Guard, again, a very regular occurrence in the context of the events that take place in DC all the time. So I just don't want us to jump. I don't want us to ever be the first to jump to Donald Trump. I don't ever want us to be reacting to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is both incompetent and he's very basic, very superficial. So look, we need to remain strategic. And the main thing I would say to people is don't call it martial law, because martial law means something. And we don't want to ever excuse him chickening out from doing the thing that if he were an actual authoritarian, he would be doing. So let's not forgive Taco for tacoing. He's tacoing right now. Rather, he's talking about going to New York and going to Baltimore and Chicago because he doesn't have the balls to actually do it. In LA, he failed. He had to pull the Guard out. So I just want to keep everybody.
And by the way, the Guard in LA was largely, like Gavin Newsom said today, standing around doing nothing, like
doing
bored.
nothing. And we went and literally looked them in the eye and they didn't move. So my point is, I just want to retain a measure of perspective on DC as a show of weakness, as him reaching for the lowest hanging fruit he has to try to play strongman with his toys in his little sandbox. We don't want to react to that and choose that as the venue just because we're reacting to Trump. Now, I do still think that we need to stand up in DC, but we need to stand up on our terms. And I'm considering going to DC in the near future. I've been in conversation with a lot of people about it, and those decisions are being made. And as Cliff said, I think that's a fluid situation. But for 9/2, welcoming Congress back, What happens is on Labor Day, on 9/1, we're going to have a national day of protest. 9/2 is the beginning of what we consider phase 2 at American Opposition of our strategy, which is moving from the national protest to targeted protests. And that begins at the Capitol on 9/2. We get to visit every single member of Congress and make them feel as uncomfortable as they make us feel and bring it to their faces. I want that group to be the largest group to have ever done that. And I will be there. I know Jessica will be there. John Brown Hunting Club is
abandoning us this time.
Is
Can you
abandoning
believe
us
it?
apparently because he's a bit of a dick.
I just don't think
But in
Cliff
any-
does enough. Carlos, we can all
No,
agree
he-
that Cliff just
he
doesn't do enough. Yeah.
No, he doesn't do enough. He's
No.
he's very lazy. But again, I think 9/2 is on our terms, and we have to do that transition to direct action. And by the way, down the road, what that's going to mean is we're going to go to their offices in their districts. We're going to go to their homes where it's legal. If we're going to borrow their neighbor's yard and stand there with 1,000 people and make sure their children hear how unpopular their parents are so that they have to explain it to their kids why they're so deeply unpopular, we're going to bring this fight to them, but we're going to do it on our terms. And what I would caution all of us is right now, Donald Trump is trying to distract us from the fact that he raped children and that his attorney general is covering it up. And let's keep the focus there. Because on the 15th, Donald Trump owes Congress, the Homeland Security Committee, the Epstein files. Let's keep a close eye on that. Let's make sure we keep the focus where it belongs. Because based on his actions, I don't know how horrible the things he did are, but they must be awful. And so again, let's just deal with this on our terms, whether we go to DC or not. I think if you can go, because as Jessica said, the activists there need our support, and more is always better. This is protest. The more is better. But for us as a leadership, as an organized movement, we need to make sure that we're fighting Donald Trump on our terms and that we choose where and how we engage and why we engage, and that we're super strategic about that. And right now, I think we should make sure to not fall prey to his taunts and to make sure that we keep the focus on his raping of children, because honestly, the president of the United States raped children and we don't know how many. And if that's something you can live with as an American, then I don't know how to help you. And honestly, like, your existence is moot. If child rape is not your line, then you don't have a line. And frankly, as we used to say in the Dominican Republic, you're you're a zero to the left of the decimal place. You literally do not matter. So wake up. Let's keep the focus where it needs to be. And again, I think everybody needs to show up on 9/2 and make sure that Congress feels the difference. Like, they went off on vacation, feeling good. They get back and they realize, holy shit, what happened while we were gone.
Yeah, well, the whole predator theme is something that I have brought out. Yes, we know he's a sexual predator. He's also a predator of his own supporters. Did you guys hear the story of Trump Burger, the guy who opened a Trump Burger joint, getting deported? The Lebanese guy who had the Trump Burger franchise or chain of restaurants literally got deported. I mean, this is emblematic of how Donald Trump preys upon and turns on his own. Everybody is prey to somebody like Donald Trump. So I think the predator theme, from sexual predator to predator of like what Hugh is living in the middle of right now, where they're literally going to victimize the most vulnerable, like the unhoused, and in particular the BIPOC community in DC. I mean, they're always targeting the most vulnerable. We see them tackling down, people who are selling tamales on the streets of Los Angeles for 40 years. Like, those are the people that are a threat to our country. It is so cruel and inhumane. This is straight up Nazi fascist playbook to go after the most vulnerable. But just to touch on what Carlos said, as far as, don't give him more credit, and he shouldn't be given any credit for distracting or anything else. But what he's doing in DC right now is lawless. He is invoking a law that gives the president of the United States, which, by the way, I'll remind everybody, he's an illegal president, gives the president of the United States authority to take control of the DC police force in an emergency. in an emergency. There is no emergency in Washington, D.C. So this is completely an illegal power grab. But yes, we are doing this on our own terms. We planned 9/2 before any of this police state nonsense came up. So this is very much on our own terms. And yes, we absolutely, we say this every time, but we need a showing like nothing we've seen before. And I really do feel, I don't know about you, Cliff, I really feel like the energy is building behind this. We have people who are going to be coming in Handmaid's Tale costumes. We have people coming from all over the country to really show them who's in charge when they get back to work on the 2nd.
And I'd like to just to clarify and stress to people watching at home, because I'm in all these signal chats and they're all blowing up while watching us. Specifically, the reason we chose September the 2nd is because Congress fled DC to escape the Epstein issue, and they come back to office on September 2nd. So we want to invite them, we want to welcome them back to DC with the biggest and most in-your-face Epstein optics that they wouldn't have imagined in their worst nightmares. We're going to send people into congressional offices. This is something we do on a regular basis. Flair does it every Monday. Jessica and Carlos and I have led groups of 200 or more into Congress multiple times. We're going to send hundreds, plural, into all the congressional buildings to talk to the GOP members and say, hey, here's some photos of Jeffrey Epstein and hanging out together with Trump. Here's a quote where Trump said he was a great guy and he likes young girls. Here's a quote where Epstein called him his best friend for 10 years. Oh, here's a court document where they're co-defendants together on a child rape case. And we're going to put these optics in the faces of these MAGA cult clowns and let them know, not only did you not escape it, you're never going to escape it. And whether this should be Trump's kryptonite or not, for all of us sane, politically informed people, the kryptonite could have been anything. It could have been the 34 felony convictions. It could have been the insurrection. It could have been just overturning Roe versus Wade. It could have been the espionage charges. But for MAGA, because they've pretended so diligently to care about children, that now it's going to be a little hard for them to back up on that. Some will try.
Well, and
so
one more.
Because this is the kryptonite and this is the fire, we have to keep putting fuel on it. And that's what 9/2 is about. If you want to protest in DC, I mean, we want people there now because he's doing what he's doing. He's bringing in 1,000 or 2,000 National Guardsmen. And the people of this country need to go, oh, cool, you have 1,000 National Guardsmen. Here's 1 million citizens.
Exactly.
Because it's optics.
True
It's optics
that.
to the whole world. The whole world needs to see that.
One quick thing is that also, Cliff, if Congress gets the documents before 9/2, you're going to see a lot of leaks because Congress leaks like a sieve. Giving documents to Congress is essentially releasing them. The Homeland Security Committee is going to hold them a little bit tighter, but we're going to know a lot more. And so ideally, by the time 9/2 happens, we won't just be confronting them with pictures of Epstein and stuff that we've already seen. We will be able to confront them with more accurate information about what actually happened and then ask them if they're okay supporting that. Because I think whatever is in those files, they're working very hard to keep it out of our gaze. And obviously, the more we learn, the more powerful that experience of holding these members accountable for very specific things or for things related, for example, to people in their districts who may have been victims, et cetera, is the kind of work we want to do to make sure that when we talk to them, we're demanding, based on all of the information possible. So, 9/2 is going to be very powerful. But I agree with Cliff. I think in the meantime, showing up in numbers, anytime there's a protest in this country, we need to be there in numbers. Listen, the main thing I've come away with from this movement is there's a lot of bravery, but there's also a lot of cowardice, and there's also a lot of deep-seated concern. And those three things sometimes don't have anything to do with each other. Sometimes they do. But if you're feeling cowardly, join up with others and find your bravery in groups. If you're overwhelmed and you have kids and you have other things, there are many ways to participate here that are not in person, that give money, provide, support. reach out for volunteering opportunities, stuff like that. But we have to show up in numbers. There is no excuse anymore. If you're not on the streets, if you're not with us, what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing?
Seriously.
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah,
Very true.
I want to turn this to Essy, back to Essy in a minute, but I'm just want to bring out my one note that I hammer relentlessly, and that is have a point to these protests, which is why I'm so excited about 9/2, because it is a removal coalition event. Please go to removalcoalition.org. Follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky if you haven't already. This is now the third event that the Removal Coalition has been behind, but I will say that I expect it to be by far the largest and the clearest about our messaging of our intent, what the point of this whole protest is. We're not just mad at the fascists. We're not going to sing and dance about it. We have a demand, and we, the people, have a right to invoke that demand and demand that it be carried out. This man needs to be removed from office now. So I am really excited for this Remove the Regime event on 9/2 to really be the first of many Remove the Regime events. If you're in a local group in some part of this country that's having protests, theme your next one Remove the Regime. Let's make every single protest we have a Remove the Regime event, and demand that the media pick up on this narrative, that we don't just have Donald Trump giving an insane press conference, spouting out lies about crime that aren't true, turning DC and LA into a police state, and have the press just cover this like another day in American politics. They need to cover the people's movement and what the people demand. And we have the power to change the conversation in this country. That is what the Removal Coalition is all about.
Absolutely.
I see. Thank you, Hugh. So Essy, weigh in. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, first of all, I want to ask Hugh,
Yeah.
with them clearing these encampments out, how long until they put your tent or your group under the sort of window of the encampments and the umbrella where they go, hey, can't do that anymore? Have you considered that? Are you thinking about it?
Oh yeah, we have considered that thoroughly. We have a very good relationship with the police, just so we can have that long-term survivability. We intend to stay around here for as long as possible. Legally is what we want to do. And right now the permit is still very valid. We've talked with some of the FBI and DEA agents that have been walking through and patrolling our camp that have been sent out here from the federal government. They said we're still good to go. Yeah.
You have a
We're
backup
very
plan
thorough
for when they
about
change that? Listen,
staying around
I
here.
firmly believe that a lot of the people, DEA, FBI, they would actually rather be solving crimes than walking around the streets of DC and doing whatever they're assigned to doing now. But at a point, if they get in order, if for whatever reason you have to comply and you've got to move, do we have a backup plan?
Oh, God. Right now, the plan, if that were to happen, if we were just told to clear out and go away, that what we're doing is illegal now, I think a lot of us would stay. I think it's gotten to the point where if what we're doing here becomes illegal, we have to draw a line in the sand and we can't move from it. This is protected under the First Amendment. This is our constitutional right to be out here and protest against this regime. If that's illegal now, then
and the reason I ask
they can make
you is
anything
because
illegal.
I do think we're on the path to that, and that is part of why I tend to be a little more aggressive in the way that I speak on the other platforms. YouTube, I can get away with some stuff. TikTok kind of squeezes it down a little bit, but the reason I do that is because I think we're going to that place where they're going to go after people like a Jessica. They're going to go after activists. Now, they're not going to do that today. Carlos is not on their radar, and he's on their radar, but he's not on their kill list today. But as time moves on, they're going to start moving these things one at a time, little by little, and then they're going to start silencing people. And when they do, what is our plan? And that's something we have to really think about. I love what we're doing, 9/2. I'd love to focus beyond that, because 9/2 isn't going to solve it all. There's going to have to be another one behind that. But what are we going to do when they come for us and they come on the platforms and they start threatening people, which they're already starting to do, just random people that are speaking out against them? What do we do as a group?
That's a very difficult question to answer.
Can all right,
I-
let me weigh in
Yeah.
for a second here, because I was the canary in the coal mine for this during Trump's first administration. I was screaming from the rooftops that this was an authoritarian wannabe, because guess what? I already lived the political persecution playbook 6, 7, 8 years ago. I already lived it. They already tried to bankrupt me, silence me, make me go away, make me disappear, take away my First Amendment rights. They tried to do all of that to me 8 years ago when I had no platform, nobody knew who I was, and I was literally on my own with, thank God, the support of my mother and my Heavenly Father, and that's about it. Okay, and how did I deal with it? How did I deal with it, Essy? I dealt with it because I started on the right path as a moral decision, as a decision of conscience, as a from a standpoint of self-worth, not being willing to stand for this and knowing that I couldn't live with myself, let alone live in my own country that I love so much under oppression. And I let that be my North Star. And it didn't mean that I knew what every single next step was going to be. I had no idea what the next steps were going to be. None. I could have never projected the plan that ultimately got me to literally invalidate every single one of this man's illegal gag orders on his former staffers. Could have never planned it. But because I started from that place of principle, and I didn't doubt it, I didn't doubt the power of truth and the rightness of truth, and I used that as my shield, it guided every action, and it ultimately protected me every step of the way. I don't think that anybody that has ever taken on a monumental task in this world of monumental importance has been able to plan every single or mitigate every single risk.
Sure.
Yeah, I would add that, like, Jessica and I, we lived it in 2020 in a different context. We at American Opposition have a very clear plan. If I get arrested, which is likely to happen at some point, you say I'm not on their radar. I think
No, I think you are.
very much on their radar, and we've been thinking about that in terms of how we can use that to leverage. How can we leverage a moment like that to shut it all down? But I think we also have to take stock of the fact that there are moves and counter moves here, and that the strategy is not about figuring out exactly what you would do, because part of it is how it happens, right? How does it come about? What mechanism do they use to trigger that? But yeah, no, at American Opposition, speaking for us, there is a very clear plan for what we do. Should I be silenced personally? Should I be arrested, etc.? And then there's also the non-planned plan, where I know that people like Cliff and Jessica and everybody on this call and everybody in the comments and everybody watching this are going to stand up for me. And I have to believe that. Like, there's the amount of risk that I have taken.
We got you.
That we've all taken. I know, right? I know that. And you know I have you. Like, there is no, because I think there's a performance version of opposition, and then there's the real deal. And I can't speak for anybody else, but I'll tell you this. I will die for this country before I will allow it to become a dictatorship. And for me, that is not a theoretical. It's simple.
Right, it's not performative. It's how you feel.
Right. I grew up under elected fascism in the Dominican Republic. I am not going back to that period. Full stop. That's not to say I'm not going to be smart. That's not going to say that I don't have a very clear sense of lines and borders and how to play the political game, because that's what I do for a living, and I'm proud to play that game. I think in a democracy, you have to be proud to deal, and you have to be proud to lose sometimes and win sometimes. And I'm not saying either I win or it all goes to shit, because that would be the position of Trump. What I'm saying is I'm here to show up, and I understand the risks, but I also have a lot of allies in this fight. And yeah, we have a plan at American Opposition. We had a plan to protect democracy when I was there. I mean, if you're smart, you have a plan. But frankly, if I go away, if they lock me up, I ask this country, shut it all the fuck down. Do it not for us.
I see, this is where I'm off, because my backup plan was to start to go to open mic nights and do stand-up comedy. And I figured they can't shut me down there. You guys have a much more well thought out plan that I hadn't considered yet. And I'll be honest with you, Hugh, you out there in DC on the ground, to speak to you frankly, if they arrest you and throw you in jail, call me. I'll bail you out.
Hey, thank you, brother. I'll probably
Listen,
need it one of these days. I'm not going to lie.
I'm not going to lie that if you called me, I would bail you out. And I have not talked. I've been very clear about what I've done in my content and detailed I've been. I don't talk about me because I don't want it ever really to be about me. I want it to be about what we're trying to accomplish. But I did not have the easiest path here. I'm not afraid to fight uphill. I've been an underdog my entire life, right? So if I see them take advantage of somebody and there's a way I can help you, I'll get on a plane. I'll fly out. They want a cash bond? No problem. I'll come out there. It's just money. We can always get the money back. And the same goes for everybody else in here. I'm not going anywhere. I don't back down from a fight. And it doesn't matter if they're bigger than me than smaller than me. The fight goes back to what Jessica said. As long as we're fighting for the right thing, there's no reason to ever stop it. And I believe that we are going to be on the right side of history when this whole thing shakes out. And it's not going to happen tomorrow or in September or in a month. It's just going to take time. But people like Carlos and Jessica, have put so much time and effort into fighting this. I was the guy on my couch in 2020 trying to figure out how I was going to keep businesses surviving through COVID and a guy who was talking about injecting bleach. That really was a prompter for me. Forget about 2015 that was a weird time for me. It wasn't until recently that I finally went, all right, I've got to start talking about this too. I've got to talk to people that are just like me, right? Because we can't all be Hughes and Carlos's, and I don't have a live comedy career or a YouTube channel. So I had to start somewhere and voice that out. But what I love here is that no matter the difference of us all approaching it from different angles, we are all trying to get to the same end. We all want the same goal line. And if Hugh's going to do it on a mountain bike and Carlos is going to do it in hiking gear, I'm probably going to try to do it in something nicer, Rolls Royce-ish, maybe a private driver. I prefer that. But as long as we all get there, we all get there. And I love the fact that we are on the same page, fighting for the same thing. So I say, to end with that, if something happens, please get my contact information from Jessica, whatever, call me. I will never turn down an opportunity to help somebody who's fighting for the right things.
On behalf of the whole group, can I just say thank you, Essy? And what you're saying, I mean, a couple of things. You talk about coming from a place of having dealt with struggle in your life in some way or another. Like we come to this, I think all of us in our own way, from a very real place. Like we're not playing here. We know what we're dealing with. We're not afraid of the fight. And it's really a really special place to be. And with Essy coming and saying he would back us up, we know we have this incredible movement. The people that are watching us right now, like honestly, the more you share this, the more you spread the word about this, the safer we all are. Because it, like Carlos said, like Cliff said, if they try to come for one of us, all hell's going to break loose. I'm just going to put it out there.
That's right.
All hell will break loose if they try to come for any single one of us.
And that's the difference between a complaint and a movement,
Yes.
right? A complaint is somebody just going like, yeah, I don't know, he was complaining about something. A movement is when everybody's on board, right?
And I have a funny story about that. When I did the first National Day of Protest, my neighbors found out and because I went and spoke in Denver, and some of them went to the protest. And then when I got home, I thought, first of all, I wasn't expecting over 1 million people nationwide to show up. So I get home from this protest and there's a lot of people there. And at the time, there was no movement. It was just the first one. And I got home and I was kind of worried. I'm suddenly like, wait, am I putting my neighbors in danger? So I'm going to go talk to these people and tell them what I'm doing, and et cetera. And honestly, they just repeated that same message that Essy just delivered. Carlos, we've got your back. I will never forget, there's an old lady that lives next to me and her husband, and she said, Carlos, just because we're liberals doesn't mean we don't have guns. And I thought to myself, that is a great, we live in this amazing country where, and by the way, guys, that's what I'm fighting for, is I live in an amazing country where if I'm fighting for the right thing and I'm going for the right thing and I'm doing the right thing, and by the way, not just in the context of protest, as a human, if I'm standing up for people, for justice, or if I'm doing the right thing, I have absolute confidence that America is going to show up for me. And that's what I'm fighting for. That's the only reason I'm here. By the way, I've given up on our government. I've given up on our Congress. I've given up on Republicans. I've given up on Democrats. But I have not given up on the fact that when I started in this, I didn't know Cliff, and now I know Cliff, and now I would fucking take a bullet for Cliff, and I know he would take a bullet for me. And so, like, America, this country that we live in, is the fact that when people are doing the right thing, other people stand up. That's what we do. That's why we're all here asking everybody to stand up, because we know you will. Because when the shit hits the fan, this country never fails. That, like, look at what happened to Hitler. Look at what happened to the Confederacy. It's going to happen again, because MAGA is just another version of that. And we keep kicking their asses, and we will keep kicking their asses, because it's what we fucking do. So, you know what? Red coats, red hats, I don't fucking care. We're going to win these battles, and people are going to show up. And if I go to jail, it's hopefully going to galvanize the movement even more, and then it's worth it. And frankly, Essy, I will take you up on the cash, because all I need is
Call me. Yeah.
Let's not drain his bank account here. I'm sure other folks are willing to.
I don't honestly. Okay, first of all, I don't say that just to bloviate or just like a zinger. I'm number one, to set that aside. I 100% mean it. I do. You put it in our group chat, whatever. I stand by that. Number two, the one point I try to drive home to people is that if you look at history, hate never wins long term. Division never wins long term. And the way I use and support that is there is a reason why the name Hitler is not around anymore. That's the point I drive home to people. If you look at one of the most hateful people in history, who was so bad that he literally eliminated a last name just by that, it proves to you that you can be on the right side of the history or you can be on the wrong side of history, because it does not win. Hate is exhaustive. It's heavy. It's arduous. It takes a lot of time and effort. Love is easy. It's a light bag to carry. It's easy to be friendly and get along with people, right? So I believe that the direction we're going, that we will be there, that we'll get there. But the fight is going to be dirty. And at 6'2", 230 pounds, let's elbows up, man. I'll pull up.
We're in it.
Brother, I'm here with you.
I hope this doesn't sound too cliche, but one of my favorite sayings is everything you want is on the other side of fear. Everything you want is on the other side.
That's so true.
Let me just put the date up in case anybody's just coming in right now. We're all going to be in DC, except for Cliff, who is, we're going to let him get a little bit of income these days. But everybody else is going to be in DC on 9/2. We are welcoming back Congress in the largest numbers we hope to date in Washington, DC, making sure they do not forget that we have a child predator in the White House and that our demand is that he be removed from office now. Everything we want is on the other side of fear. I agree with it, what everybody's been saying. And I've been saying this for years. Like, there's no question that we overcome this. There's no question that we win. Our victory is sealed. The only question is how many people have to suffer in the process. How prolonged does that suffering have to be? And the answer to that question is with you and me, my friends. It is in what we are willing to do. So, Cliff, I know you've been I've been in and out of here with us. Give us the final word, and we're going to wrap up this all-star panel that we've got here tonight.
I'm answering some very upset voices in chats that they don't like any of the rhetoric that you're using. Don't say the word fight, because the Nazis might not like it if you say the word fight. Don't talk about being tough, because being tough is violent. And I understand. Like, listen, I'm an environmentalist. Like, I got my start fighting against a cement plant that was going to tear down 1,500 acres of unmitigatable wetlands.
Yeah, and I'm a vegan who doesn't kill spiders. So, like, this is the most non-violent group you can find. Okay, go ahead.
But while every citizen sits around this country talking about, we're sick of strongly worded letters, we're sick of filibustering, we're sick of Congress members holding up a little sign on a popsicle stick and thinking that that's how we're going to win. I say to the citizens of the country, I'm sick of protesting 1,500 miles away from the pressure point of the United States of America in a park because it's a block from your house. I'm sick of that. To me, that feels as toothless as Chuck Schumer's strongly worded letter or Cory Booker's 25-hour speech where he then goes and votes for genocide. Or Moskowitz voting to censor the only person in Congress with the spine to stand up and introduce articles of impeachment, an elderly black man who can't even get the support of his own party, who are voting to censor him. So while
Who,
Democrats,
by the way, will be joining us on 9/2. Just found out today. Al Green will be with us again on 9/2. Just had to stick that in there.
So while Democrats sit around and argue with each other over words, Al, that person, I didn't like the way that word they used, and Al Green shouldn't have spoken so loud at the State of the Union, and Cory Booker should have talked for 26 hours. While we're doing that, they're marching through our cities with their faces covered with Nazi flags. They're arresting mayors. They're arresting judges. They're disappearing innocent people to fucking death camps. They don't care about your bubble machine or your peace flag. I'm not telling you to be violent. I am telling you to be tough. And if you can't be tough, I'm not interested in working with you. The people on this call are talking tough because they're tough. The people on this call are talking tough because we've shown our asses up in DC, not because it was free or cheap or fun or easy. We've been doing it for 8 months consistently because we feel like we have to. And nobody is advocating for violence. We're asking you to get off your asses and flood the streets of DC because it's our only chance of preventing violence.
Let me say as a closing piece,
That's good.
exactly what you're saying. I don't know. It's so well said. But the one thing we have to get away from is that weak left mindset. We have to get away from it. We have to leave room for error. Let people say things off the cuff. People aren't always thinking. When I say fight, I mean fight. I don't mean walk into a bar and start punching people. I'm not 25 anymore. But a fight is what we're in for. And if we're going to try to do this in any other way than fighting, we might as well all walk away right now, because there is zero chance any of this gets done by popsicle stick signs or strongly worded letters or nice court. There's another time for that. There's a time for diplomacy. Right now is the time for the pushback. And the pushback, you got to use some weight. And it's going to not be easy all the time. It's not going to be friendly. It's not always going to be butterflies and rainbows. And if you're in for butterflies and rainbows, I'm going to recommend Teletubbies on PBS. I'm here to fight.
Country.
I'm here to fight.
Yeah, I'll give you another cliche. What do they say about courage? It's a muscle, right? The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
I just want to echo what Cliff said, because Cliff and I have always seen eye to eye on this. And what I would say is this: I don't care how we fucking do it. They have to fear us more than we fear them. Period. And not to steal from V for Vendetta, but government should be fucking afraid of their people. If you're white and you believe you're superior to other people, if you're willing to send people to a foreign concentration camp with no sentence for life for the federal equivalent of a speeding ticket, which, by the way, being in this country illegally is not a crime. It's a civil offense. It's the federal equivalent of a speeding ticket, and people are getting sent away for life for that shit. And if you're willing to do that, you're going to have to look me in the eye and not be afraid, and I'm going to make you fucking afraid.
Can I say a few words for that as well?
Please, Hugh. Please.
Like, these fascist demons are cutting our food stamps. They're making us starve. They're cutting our Medicaid. They're making us bleed. In the process of their government, they're going to kill millions of us. Are we just going to sit around, twiddle our thumbs while they do all this, while they kill our neighbors, while they kill our children, while they let people starve and bleed? Hell no. We're going to stand up like Americans, like we've done every time we've been faced with some challenge or tribulation in our country's history, and we're going to fucking win. Our life, the life that we deserve, is being held hostage by these demons, by these monsters. And it is up to us to claim that life, to take it out of their hands and put it where it belongs, right in ours. Come
I
join
want to
us. You need to. You can't wait for another line in the sand to be drawn. We're running out of time. Come out here as soon as you can.
Yes,
and
yes.
let me
Please.
just let me tell
I
the people at home, this guy, Hugh, in the middle, top middle, we call him Big Red. He has been in DC. I don't know if it's nonstop, but he has been in
I do
DC
live here, so.
consistently protesting Heritage Foundation every Monday, Fox News DC every Friday, the Trumpstein protest every week in front of the White House. They've been protesting at Butterworth's, following
Yep.
Steve Bannon out to his car,
Yep.
calling him a Nazi to his face.
And I'll do it again.
Nobody in Washington, D.C. has made Nazis more uncomfortable than Flair has. And none of us have been violent. None of us are advocating violence. When somebody says the word fight, we're saying fight for your country. All of us are willing to fight if we were forced to and we had to. None of us want to. What I'm suggesting to everybody watching is there is not a more protest-friendly city in the United States of America than Washington, D.C. You will not find a police force who's less fond of Donald Trump than the Capitol Police, who he sent rednecks to stomp on them. And the DC Metro Police is run by a progressive mayor, and they have very good relationships with Democrats. These are people who are in the shadow of national political politics all the time. Every 4 years, the partisan changes almost. So these police, at the very least, they have to be and appear bipartisan. This is the most protest friendly environment where we could stand up to Donald Trump. And it happens to also be the pressure point of the United States of America. If that doesn't make sense to you, I would argue that you should consider fleeing the United States, because this is easy. It's still easy right now.
Oh, it's so
It's not going
easy.
to
It
get
is
better.
It
so
really
easy.
is.
The
You just
the
get a
Trump
megaphone and
administration,
be loud at Nazis. It's fun. It's a
Yeah.
vibe even.
Yeah, Cliff and Carlos are talking about V for Vendetta. This got to be my one of my all-time favorite movies. And if you've seen the movie, you know that scene where Evie is in that prison cell. She's in prison, and she's crying and she's writing letters to a fellow prisoner who's been under this dystopian rule, and she realizes that her entire captivity is a byproduct of her fear. The entire experience has literally been an illusion. And once that fear leaves her, she literally walks outside of the prison cell, sees that the guard all along has been a mannequin, and she's free. That's literally, I got to tell you, sorry, but not sorry for getting a little too metaphysical with you people here, but that's what we're dealing with. This is an illusion of power. These people have no right to be doing what they're doing, and they're only
100%.
doing it because we are ceding our power. Stop ceding your power. Stop surrendering. Show up with us in Washington, D.C. on September 2nd.
While we criticize our elected leaders for not doing the most they could have done, the least that we could do as citizens is flood the streets of DC, and it should have happened before he was even inaugurated. So we haven't done the bare minimum, and we have to stop looking to these people who, I mean, look at the people in Congress. I mean, the Dems have a deep bench. We got some smart, talented people. But look at people like Andy Ogle and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I mean, these people are imbeciles. They're literally, that's not the smartest kid that you went to school with. It's not even the coolest or most popular or any of that. That's just a person whose dad had enough money for them to run for something and they won. You can't necessarily count on these people in either party to be some brilliant, brave person that's going to have all the answers for you. I've said this in a speech before, and it's not novel. It's an old cliche, but that expression, the cart before the horse. We're the horse. Congress is the cart. Lawmakers in the United States didn't give women the right to vote. Women fought for it. And I don't mean they fought with nunchucks and switchblades, everybody. Let's calm down. I mean they fought for it with their bodies and their protests and their signs and their money and their dollars and their time and their energy and their sacrifices away from their family. That's what we mean when we say fight. We're not asking you to come be a Ninja Turtle in Washington, D.C., and everybody should calm down. but nobody's giving rights away. They didn't give gay people the right to get married and to have end of life rights with their spouses. Gay people fought for that.
For it.
Women fought for reproductive rights. Workers fought for a 40-hour work week and time off, and unions fought for these things. So what I'm saying to all of you, as disappointed as you are in your leaders, it's us. We have to do everything we can. And I would propose to you that the bare minimum that should have already happened a long time ago is to shut Washington, D.C. down. Oh, you have 2,000 guardsmen? Cool. Here's 2 million American citizens. Now what?
By the way, Cliff, we did that in 2020 when I was at Protect Democracy. We saw and we represented for the protest that happened in Lafayette Square that put Donald Trump in his bunker. That showed us the measure of the man. He, even protected by the White House and the Secret Service, he still went to his bunker.
Yeah.
And when we say fight, generating fear doesn't require violence. Our power is our persistence. Our power is our peace. Now, we don't ever lose the right to defend ourselves. Fascism is violence. Democracy is peace. If they attack us, we can always defend ourselves. But we're not preaching violence. Nobody is. Somebody in the comments asked me what I'm for. I'm for justice. I'm for a belief in a better future. As an immigrant, I'm for my fellow immigrants. I think if you come and you walk 2,000 miles to get here, I'm going to give you a shot at a better life here. And I'm going to give you a shot at building something with us together. Because, by the way, that's how America was built from the beginning. We had a revolution because they taxed our tea. Donald Trump, through his tariffs, has just instituted the largest tax increase in American history. So if you're not going to get pissed for all of the human issues and the fact that he's throwing people in these cages and doing all of these horrible things, then get pissed about the fact that a billionaire president with a billionaire cabinet just passed the largest tax cut ever for billionaires and the largest tax increase ever for poor people in the history of the country, and get pissed about that. I don't care what you get pissed about, but get pissed about something. And stop telling me you can't make it, or that it's inconvenient, or is it on a weekday? I need a weekend. Is it on a weekend? I need a weekday. Honestly,
those of us who have been planning this thing, it's kind of really cute when people come to us and give us ideas.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, right.
Exactly. But no, seriously, let's make this happen, people. Let's make this the biggest shutdown of the nation's capital that we have ever seen on September 2nd. We can do the buildup. If you're close by right now, if you can show support for the city of DC and Free DC and Flair and Hugh and Dave and all the amazing people at that encampment at Union Station, do it now. Do it now, and let's have that build up, and let's have the biggest friggin' shutdown of Washington, D.C. this country has ever seen on September 2nd. We need you there. We need you there now to fight morally, spiritually, righteously, not violently. We need you to fight for your country. Show up for us peacefully but relentlessly on September 2nd. To this all-star panel, Hugh from Flair, Carlos Alvarez-Aranyos from American Opposition, John Brown Hunting Club, aka Cliff Cash, and Essy of the Dark Left, new to Lights On. Thank you all so much. I couldn't be more honored and humbled to be in this fight with you all. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I would like to quote George Washington when he said, "Do we have a permit for that?"
And on that note, have a wonderful night.
Special.
Thanks, guys.
Removalcoalition.org.
Oh, that was
Let
good.
your light shine, people. Let your light shine.